I'm Keela.
And I'm Ashley.
And we met on TikTok.
2 trailers, 1 park.
And we were raised by 2 mother hustlers.
I raised my mama.
Oh my gosh, I did too.
Well, let's talk about that. We can talk shit about our moms, but no one else can.
Hey y'all.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Keela. And welcome to
Raising Barbara Jean and Wanda podcast. Today's episode, we're going to talk about how our childhood affected how we raised our children.
Oh gosh. And I'm just going to say sorry because I'm sure my children are going to think that I'm not telling it right.
Well, same, because mine are going to be like, because I thought I was Martha Stewart, but probably.
I thought I was Martha Stewart.
See? So, Keela, how do you think that your mom or your raising affected you being a mother? Like, what did you do different? Like that you made sure of that you did different from?
Do you mean what did I learn from my mom?
Correct.
I learned how I did not want to raise my children.
Gotcha. Yeah. Sometimes your parents are the best way, not to raise your children, but how not to raise your children.
Yes.
So what was super important to you with your children?
I wanted them to have stability.
Yes.
I wanted them to be, not move around a lot, even though they think we did.
Right.
Compared to what I
yours.
did.
Yes.
They didn't.
Yes. And do your kids think that they had like this crazy childhood and you're like, that was Leave It to Beaver compared to?
Yes.
Yes. Exactly the same. Mine are the exact same.
Yeah. They think they had a rough childhood.
Yes. However, my son does say like, he's like, I don't really have a story. And I'm like, that's good. That's exactly what I was trying to do. I didn't want you to have a story. I wanted you to be so boring that when people were like, so what was your child like? Normal. That's exactly that was my goal, was for it to be normal.
Yeah, but it really wasn't. I mean, I don't know.
Comparatively.
Yes, compared to what I went through.
Right.
But my daughter will tell you that she had to raise her mom.
Right. Well,
and she did. We kind of grew up together.
Well, I feel like because you don't have an example to go by, you kind of, we're winging it, when we have kids. And so, yeah, maybe they did have to, raise us or whatever, but we didn't have an example to go by. So even though I thought I was doing an amazing job, I look back now and I'm like, oh God, no. For instance, I rushed my kids because now I can watch my kids and they're rushing constantly. So if they're going somewhere, they're like, oh, he's running late. And I'm like, calm down, it's okay. And and I'm like, I did that to them. Like I rushed them constantly because I guess I was always unstable. And so I always rush.
Okay,
obviously.
So I know nobody's going to believe this, especially Tom and Trent, that I was always running late.
Right.
That always running late, yeah. So, they hate to be late anywhere. Like, they are on time for everything.
Yep.
And they are ahead of schedule. And, they're not going to be late.
Yep.
Because we were always running late out the door.
And that's, but I feel horrible because I feel like my kids are always in, like, not really fight or flight because it's not like that serious, but especially when there's time limits, they're like, we got to go. And I'm like, calm down. It's okay. And they're like, calm down. You would have literally killed us. And I was like, yeah, but that's how I lived my life I'm always late too. So, but now that I'm older and I have time to think about it, I'm like, it's not that big of a deal for a little late. But then, it was the end of the world. So I did rush my children. One thing that I found really important was I was at everything. I was at every school party, every field trip, every parent-teacher conference, every program. I was there. I don't care if I had to cancel all my appointments and make sure I was there. And my kids were so much so that I showed up to my son's 5th grade Christmas party and the teacher was like, hi, can we help you? And I was like, I'm here to celebrate Jesus. No, I was like, I'm here to celebrate Christmas. And she was like, are you here for Jaden? And I was like, no, I'm here to eat cookies.
At the party.
Right. And I walk in and Jaden's like, oh my gosh, Mom, they don't come to these anymore. And I'm like, I said, well, I was just here to say hi. And I walked out and I called my husband. I was like, apparently this is not a thing anymore. But I just did not want my child to be the one sitting there with no parent there. So I made it to everything. And if I didn't make it to something, my sister went to it. We were there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we were there for I was there for everything. That was one thing that I made sure of, that my kid, I was present. Mm-hmm. Even if I was the one I'll knock the hell out of you and embarrassing the shit out of my kids, I was still there. And they knew it.
Well, today is my daughter Emily's 30th birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday,
birthday.
Emily. I can't believe she's 30.
Yeah,
I was 20
that's
when I had her.
that's
It's
crazy.
insane. Look, it is 4:28. She was born at 4:11. So
Aw.
she's just really now, it's
Right.
her birthday.
Yeah.
She's 30. Um, but I talked to her this morning and I was like, what did I teach you growing up? And she said, well, you taught me that you don't have to drink to have fun.
Amen.
And I was so proud of that. And then she told me that never depend on a man. So proud of
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And she told me that, what was the other one? Oh, hard work. And
Yep.
I was like, oh, I was like, that's the biggest compliment a mom could ever have.
Yes, for real.
Now that's for my daughter who she kind of raised me too. I'll give her that.
Right.
Because I bartended a lot. And so I was gone at night a lot. But my son, I'm scared to know what Cole would say.
Right. Right.
There's no telling.
Um, tell tell everyone what your daughter does.
Oh, she's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yep, so I broke the cycle. I mean, she
Yes.
went to law school. She went to
Yes.
MTSU, and then she went to Vanderbilt and graduated Vanderbilt Law.
That's huge.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. I know.
The only thing I know about Vanderbilt's the trauma unit because our family goes there a
Oh
lot
my
for,
gosh,
like,
I've been there
DUIs
twice
and
with my husband. We've spent like 44
yeah.
days there,
Yeah. So when
once.
if besides my mother-in-law, your daughter's the only person I know that's ever been to the school.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like I said, the only connection we have to Vanderbilt's when someone gets a DUI and they wreck their car and they have to be flown, trauma, ICU.
Girl, side note, we've been at Vanderbilt, like I say, in the trauma unit. We've got a picture on the wall
Oh,
at the Vanderbilt
nice.
trauma unit. My
We haven't made
husband
it
is
that
there.
like
We should have, I mean,
a wing or
we
something at
should have a
least.
wing named yeah,
Yeah,
we
named
should.
after
We
y'all.
started on the 10th floor, then we went to the 11th,
Yeah,
and hopefully we're just working our way down for the next hopefully we
yeah.
don't have to stay there for vacation anymore, Brian. I really don't like it.
Right, right. We went to my brother was in a car accident, literally a block from the house, and we had to go to Vanderbilt. And actually, the trip up there, like looking back now, was hilarious. So I was French braiding my mom's hair
Oh,
because she made us do that every single night. Don't this is not a sweet moment. We hated that when she hollered for us at night and said, "Ashley," I already knew what she was going to say. French braid
oh,
my hair, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Well, her friend runs up on the porch and it's like, "Josh has been in a wreck." It's like because it's right by the house. So mom takes
now
off.
Josh is your
My brother,
your okay.
yes, and he's 7 years older than me. And mom takes off out the door with her, and I'm sitting there like, What am I supposed to do?" Like, so I don't even know how I got there. But anyways, I get there. Mom don't have any shoes on, and they're using like the jaws of life to get him out. And she's
Oh,
like
ew.
running to the car, and I'm like, "Mom, you're gonna get burned. Like, get back!" And she's like, keeps trying to run to the car, and so I give her my shoes. Then we go to the local hospital, and they're like, "We're life flighting him, whatever." So my aunt shows up and my grandmother, and they're all heavy smokers, which I was too at like 14, but whatever. Anyways, obviously you don't get this voice from vocal lessons, but so we get in my aunt's Toyota Tercel and we're flying to Nashville, because it's dramatic. I don't have any shoes on because I've gave mom my shoes.
Oh,
And so Nanny is somehow in the back seat with me and we're 30 minutes into the car ride and Nanny's like, "I think my goddamn foot's broke." And her foot was tangled up in the front seat. And I'm like, "We've been driving for 30 minutes, Nanny, and your ankles," and she's 68 years old.
oh
And so
Lord.
they're smoking so many cigarettes back to back to back. The windows are rolled up. I'm dying. I think I got lung cancer literally from just the ride to Nashville. But we got there and I was like, "Holy shit," Nanny's foot was all sideways. And I'm like, she goes, "I didn't even realize it until we got," but it turns out he wasn't really that injured.
Oh,
Maybe,
good.
maybe he was just like asleep or something when he
Yeah.
hit the thing. Cause he was okay, but he didn't get in any legal trouble from it. But that was my trip to Vanderbilt that I was like, then
Oh,
had to drive mom back in my car that was a stick shift that I wasn't because she was too messed up and I'm driving a stick shift and you know how like the lanes, like there's just parked cars there and I'm like, "Oh,
oh,
it's not a lane
mhm.
anymore." Yeah. So that's my trauma experience with Vanderbilt
Well,
is
we've been twice. We've been in the trauma unit because we had a car accident in 2010. Brian broke his back and, I mean, his pelvic in half, tore half
oh,
his face off. I mean, we were there for 22 days. Lost a kidney. Um,
wow.
and then we were there in 2021 when Cassie got her ankle monitor off and we went on our sister trip.
Yeah.
He started a fire in the backyard and we were in the burn unit for 22 days.
That's
So,
right. I remember that.
yeah, but we'll get into all that.
Yeah.
And
At a later
those
date.
stories are for another day.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
but
And then my
when
cousin played baseball at Vanderbilt's. I have a cousin, second grade. He
Oh.
was a pitcher at Vanderbilt, so he was the first person in the family to go
So
to
you might
Vanderbilt.
have some, like, thoroughbred people in your
It's my
life.
step family,
Oh,
but I
okay.
mean, they're my
Okay.
family,
Got it.
but
Makes
yeah, it's
sense.
not my bloodline.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not my bloodline.
But
Well, Emily is
she's thoroughbred.
she's yeah,
Well,
maybe.
her bloodline will be.
Oh, her bloodline will be
Yeah, they will be born with an 800
yes.
credit score.
Oh, yeah,
Her kids
yeah,
will be,
for
yes.
sure, yeah.
That's great. So when my kids are like, "Oh, you did this and this," I'm like, "Really? How many times have you had to drive me to Vanderbilt without GPS? Because it was 2000, the year 2000, we didn't have GPS, with your mom passed out in the passenger seat. Not never, so hush."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I do have a hard time. Sometimes I dismiss my kids
Yes.
and I have to step back and go, okay, well, I although your childhood wasn't as bad as mine, I'm going to validate your feelings and say that I'm sorry for that. However,
Yeah, I kinda regret some of the ways I raised them
yeah,
because I sheltered them from a lot.
yeah,
Like, my family in Chattanooga, my mom's sisters, they always lived in the projects in
right,
Chattanooga, and I had to go, and I hated going over there. So, like, I didn't do that with my kids.
yeah,
Like, my mom would pick them up, or I would pick up my aunts because none of them drove.
right,
Um,
same.
but they didn't go in the bad parts of Chattanooga. So I hate that because now I don't wanna say they just missed all of that. They
Right,
don't realize how good they had it.
right. And they don't understand your background because they didn't experience it. Like, they didn't experience the
Yeah.
ants and the projects and stuff. So, yeah,
And I worked really hard. I was bartender forever, and I worked hard because they got everything they wanted.
yeah.
Like, I did my kids, if they wanted it, they got it.
That's my sister.
Christmas, they were getting, I mean, all the
That's my
things
sister.
because I never got anything.
Yeah,
And I did get stuff because my mom did get me stuff, but we would leave it like a week later. I'd get a
right.
bunch of presents, and then, we would have to move or get evicted. And
Oh, of course.
yeah, so then none of my stuff ever went with me, which is insane. So I've saved all of theirs. Like,
That
there's no toys I don't have of theirs.
We were raised the exact same way, and what is that?
I don't
What is
know.
the, like, getting off the bus and, like, "Oh, we don't live here anymore." Like, "What the hell? Where's our furniture?" Well,
Yeah.
you just get new what the hell is
Yeah, I
that?
remember getting off the bus and there was like a padlock on our apartment and I
Yeah,
couldn't get in. And I was like, well, what the hell? What do I do
right, and then
now?
they
I mean,
show
I'm
up like,
like
"Hey,
stuck
get in the
here.
car," and you're like, "Wait, what? This was home." Well, for, like,
Yeah,
3 months.
yeah.
Yes, we did the same thing. I said to my sister, I said, "We never moved," quote, unquote, like, we never moved our furniture, nothing like I guess we got different. I mean, it was
Well,
all used and junk,
well,
but
Rent a Center would usually come and get
see,
ours and then we would,
we didn't do that. Mom,
yeah.
I guess somebody just gave us stuff, but we never moved, like, our stuff. Like,
And do you know what my mom used to do? Like the ABC magazine
oh, that
or
wasn't my mom.
Finger Hut?
Holly Myers. Do you remember Holly Myers?
No.
Oh,
Oh, Holly, yes.
yes, Holly
I
Myers.
thought you said Holly Myers with
Well,
that
sorry,
accent of yours.
Myers.
Holly.
We all had accounts. I'm 6 years old with, like, a Holly Myers credit card.
Yeah, I have something still on my credit
I do
that
too.
my mom
I do
opened
too.
a credit card.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, "No, I need all the proof because I
Um,
did not I've never had I do have a credit card now, but then I never
I
had a
was
credit card, and
born
I was getting sued. They served me at work, and I'm
Yes,
like, "I'm gonna kill her, even though
yes,
she's dead, I swear."
yes.
And
I
Emily's
went
like,
to
"Mom, tell Ralph he'll pay it." And I'm like, "It's not his responsibility." I
exactly.
mean,
Well, and how are the cable companies like, "No, y'all did this. You're the one who gave cable to an 8-year-old. That's your fault. You
right?
should write that off." Because I tried to go get cable, and they were like, "You owe
Yeah,
$230." I'm like, "I've never had this service."
I had to pay off an account with Comcast before I could get one.
You know what they said? Well, in 1996, you had one. I was 13. And so you know what they said? Well, you need to write a letter. No, bitch, you need to write me a letter and apologize to me. You ruined my credit. I didn't ruin yours.
My brother, from the biological dad,
Yes.
but his name's Charlie. Charlie Ball was my biological dad, but my brother's name is Charlie Ball.
Mhm.
I guess he was a junior or whatever. But he got pulled over, and because that dad had such a bad rap with the police, and they seen his name, they confiscated his motorcycle and put him in jail. And his mom had to come and get him, and he was like, "No, that is my dad. No, I've never done any of this stuff." So he's changed his name to Charlie Blevins. He goes by his mom's
I mean,
legal
yeah.
last name because
Yeah.
he's like, to be a ball in this place, I mean, you're going to get in
Yeah.
trouble. Same thing with Cassie. I mean, hell, the way they describe it, like
Oh, yeah.
some of them may have gotten out of prison while they were in prison because they knew people
Yeah.
during the day until the night shift come on. I don't know, but we'll have
Um,
them on and talk about that too.
yes. Um, well, being raised the way we were raised, so rough and ragged and
Hmm.
all that, I don't have as much empathy for my kids when they say things like, well, you didn't do this. I'm like, I didn't eat supper most nights, okay? You're going to be
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
Because my daughter said, well, you didn't celebrate my birthday. You didn't celebrate my birthday every year. And to me, I'm like, no one ever, like my sister celebrated my birthday at 5 years old and 16. That's,
Um, Now my kids will say that I was very hard on them,
oh, for sure. Me
like
too.
with grades and stuff.
Hmm.
And now Emily, I'm going to tell you, Heifer, because she acts like it was me, but she was very hard on herself
Hmm.
getting good grades because I wanted her to do good, but I didn't expect all A's, but she got them. And then she
Um,
told me that it's because I made her feel like she had to be perfect.
well, and sometimes
And she is
she,
perfect.
she is,
And
but
you're welcome.
sometimes kids, they think that you, like, I need to do this because moms, but you're like, it's really not that big of a deal. But they created that in their mind. So she had to live up to what she thought your standards
Yeah.
were. But really, you were like,
And I did
right.
push her.
But I do the same thing with my husband. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
say that. Like, I will be like, he's going to be so pissed because I spent
Hmm.
this money or blah, blah, blah. But then, like, he don't. And I'm like, I put that much pressure on myself thinking that he was going to be pissed and he's not. So I did that to myself. Like, I created my own,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And then Cole, like we celebrated Cole if he got a D because my gosh, getting that kid through high school
Oh,
was.
yes.
I was
Yes.
in school again, so when he didn't go to college,
Yes.
I was like, well, thank God I can't do that too because
Correct.
I could barely help him with his homework. But so when Cole got D's, we celebrated, and Emily felt like she had to get all A's because she would get in trouble. And she wouldn't have. I probably would have fussed at her because she was an A student and Cole was a D student.
Well, if you were anything like me, I made my kids feel like everything was a huge deal because so my friend so I'm a disciplinarian, like just by nature.
Mhm.
And my friend will call me and she'll be like, my daughter did this. What do I do? And I'm like, you make her think that it's the end of the world. Although we know this is typical stuff that gets do. I said, but you literally,
Mhm.
which is not great advice, but this is how I raise my kids. When my son would make a bad grade, I'm like, I have called around to all of the boot camps and but that's horrible. But I thought like if I don't put that kind of pressure on him, he's just going to give up and he's going to be a flake because I'm a flake. So
Right.
I would think, but now I'm like, it really wasn't that big of a deal. And he's fine. I mean, he's very thick skinned and nothing like my
Right.
daughter's opposite. But I would just be like, oh, you failed a class, or a teacher called me and be like, so Jaden didn't turn any homework. I'm like, oh, I'm literally calling around to boot camps. Like, so how, what's y'all's availability? Can I get my kid in here? And he's a really good kid. But I would panic
Yeah.
thinking this is a sign that they're going to be uh, fuck ups and he's probably on
Right.
drugs. He's on drugs. That's all there is to it. And he's like, no, I just don't like school. And I'm like, nope, you don't care. That's all. That's the first sign that you're going to be. I would panic over like everything that he did or they did wrong. That's a sign that you're going to be my mom.
Yeah, Emily was when she turned 18, like, she wanted to move out, she saved her money so she could move out. She
Same.
went to college, she had an apartment, um, and went to school. Now, she was home a lot that year, but she did move out
Hmm.
on her own, and then she's never ever come back. Well,
My
neither one of
son.
them have,
Yeah,
though. Both of them moved
my
out.
son.
But she had, like, her budget down to the dollar. She knew how much her shampoo was, how much her dog stuff was. She would
She's a perfectionist.
yeah, she could live off of, $10 a week.
Right.
Never asked for money. She did all of her
Hyper
scholarships and
independent.
stuff
My son
by
is too.
herself. Um,
Yep.
a saver. She's a big time saver. And she's like, because I never wanted to be like you, mom, and not,
Yep.
you worked
The
your butt off.
uncertainty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Cole, he spends every dime. If he makes
Well,
it, he
that's
spends it.
Jaden.
He spends it on everybody. And never makes a stranger. He
Yep.
loves the underdog stories.
Oh, I'm a huge underdog
Yes.
advocate.
Yeah.
Huge.
But they're both just such good humans. And
Hmm.
My stepson's great. I hate saying my bonus son's
Right.
great. He's the best ever in college, and he doesn't ask for a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I did good.
You did do
I
good.
did
Yes,
good.
you did do good.
I'm proud of
I
myself.
obviously now,
I should have brought a birthday cake for her.
well, clearly I don't celebrate my kids' birthdays because my daughter just told me that. But,
Yeah.
um,
And I had no idea what to get her.
mhm,
She's 30. She's a lawyer. They have a house in, 12
yeah,
South. Her and her husband are doing great for him. And his mom, my in-law, what is her? My sister and my
sister
mother,
wife, sure, go ahead.
sister-in-law, mother-in-law,
Yeah,
my daughter's mother-in-law
right,
called me and was like, what do I get Emily? It's her 30th. I want to get something special. And I'm like, listen, I got her a Chewy gift card for
right,
Christmas because I have no idea.
right,
And she loves dogs,
yeah,
loves her baby. So
yeah,
I did. I had no idea what to get her. And I'm like, I wanted something sentimental today, but she's like, "Mom, it's a regular day and I've got to work." And I'm like,
She's A type
"Oh yeah,
personality,
you know."
so that makes total sense.
Uh-huh.
Like,
But
yeah,
at
I mean,
first,
so she didn't steer too
when she
far.
first came out of law school, she did work for a firm, and I mean, she worked like 80 hours a week. We couldn't ever get time with her. It was like
Right.
she was still in school studying, and I'm like, "Damn, you work this hard. What are you doing?" But she had to get all, I guess, billable hours,
Yeah.
and but then she found this job and made more money and has vacation time and has insurance.
Yeah.
So she took it, and
Good for
then she had to
her.
get used to though having time on
I
her
was gonna say
hands because
having
she's like,
time.
"I'm so bored."
And she may be one of those that, like, needs to work.
Oh, she
She needs to
is.
be busy
Like, when
because
she was in law school, she was in law school, at Vanderbilt, she was doing her internship, she was planning a wedding and studying for the bar, and I'm
wow.
like, "What?
I
Calm down."
literally can't even plan a birthday party for a 12-year-old, and it can have a whole year. I can't.
And she's a planner. I'm not a planner.
Oh, I'm
I'm
not
a
either.
fly by the seat of my
Oh,
pants person,
I'm
and, like,
horrible.
she wants a schedule, and she's like, "Mom, we're coming over to swim from 1 to 3," and by 3:01, they are out the door, and I'm like, "Oh,
And
okay."
Keela's like, "Oh, well, me and Keela, this is why we're flakes.
Yeah, well,
I've always been defensive."
my daughter gets mad because her husband, Brian, is the
Mhm.
sweetest man you'll ever meet. I mean, I could not ask for a better son-in-law, but he grew up in Brentwood. They're Brentwood,
Yeah,
and nothing
say
wrong
less.
against Brentwood. I just
That's foreign to us.
yes, it is very foreign. Like, at their wedding, it was, like, the Clampets, and it's so sad because, like, this weekend, we're, going to her birthday party. We're going to a brewery in Nashville Saturday, and, his mom and dad, like,
Yeah.
Brian, his mom and dad, and his sister Tiffany and Leah, and their spouses, and then Tiffany's little boy, Rhodes, they all come, and then he's like, "Well, invite everybody," and I'm like, "Oh, Brian, do you wanna go?"
Yeah, right.
Brian?
Yeah,
Brian.
right.
But, like, even at her rehearsal dinner, it was, like, me and Brian and my dad and Ralph. And then that was it. My son,
Mhm.
because Cade was out of town, but, I'm like, "Cade's in Knoxville, and Cole's probably playing ball," and he's gonna be like, "Mom, I ain't going
My
sit up
sister's
there,
the
be
one that
bored."
I go to. Like, that's
Right.
she's the only one that comes to her and her
Yeah.
kids, but that's all I got too. I'm like, "Family, Hagen, me
I know.
me and you."
But, I mean, it's sad, but it is what it is.
Right.
We're fun,
Yeah.
and at the wedding, it was fun.
Yeah.
But I have friends that are like my sisters, and so I'm like, "Well, can they come? Because they're like my and this was before I found the sisters. One
Right.
more year, and I coulda had all the crazies there. 1
Yes.
year. But, Emily had been like, "Mom, don't invite these people to my rehearsal dinner."
Right, right.
I'm just kidding.
Um,
No, she really would have been like that.
so our goal for this podcast is to have the audience on.
Yes, we wanna have people on, we wanna hear your stories,
Yes.
how you grew up, if you have a DNA story, if you have a cra let's not say dysfunctional
Chanel, yes.
family like we
Yes,
did.
because, Keela and I were talking before we got here, and I said, "Were you raised poor or whatever?" And I said, "But actually, there's crazy with people with money." I just didn't know that. I thought that if you had
Yeah,
money, that, like, solved everything, but it don't. It
yeah.
it does not solve
And I'm
everything.
really bad about like, some people will talk about their problems, and I'm like,
That's nothing compared to yours, but then you have to
"That's
go,
the problem." I mean,
"That's
because it is
huge."
their problem, and,
Right.
but it's taken me a while
Me too.
to listen to
To
that.
be empathetic to people who I'm like, "That's nothing," but
I'm like, "Do you have lights?
right,
Do you have
exactly.
water?"
Did you eat every night? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So I've had to do that too. But you have to realize that their big T trauma and our big T trauma
mhm.
are totally different. Like we have to, but
Like with my kids.
we've grown.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've
yeah,
grown
and I
because
wanted to break the cycle too.
me too, for sure.
Yeah, and I did, but,
But I didn't want to forget where I came from.
no.
And I want my kids to say like, I don't want them to be like, "Mom came from whatever," but I want them to be like, "Yeah, my mom came. She came from. This is why." Because they're colorful people. My kids are. Both of my kids, by the way, got class clown.
Aw,
Both of my kids. Anderson got it 8th grade and 12th grade, and Jaden got best personality in 8th grade. And I literally want a sticker on the back of my car that says, "I may not have raised honor students, but bitch, I raised class clowns." Like, and I told my kids the other day, I posted it on Facebook or to them. I said, "You could have been anything you wanted to be, but you chose to be kind and you chose to be funny
yes,
and you chose to be a friend to people." And that is huge to me. You may
yeah.
not have made great grades or grades at all, or they may, truancy may have been an issue, but like you were a great
Yeah, well,
person.
mine was just running late.
And that's okay. That's fine. But
Yeah,
we raised good humans.
Yeah. And see, and going back to that, like Cole was raised completely different than Emily
Um,
because Emily's dad's a douchebag.
yeah.
Hope you hear this. And sorry for all the people out there, not big on douchebag dads.
Yeah.
They suck.
Right.
Balls.
Yeah.
Um, but he wasn't in the picture. He was in the picture until he had to start paying child support.
Oh, yeah.
hmm
Till he's like, accountable.
Yeah, and then he wanted to take me to court to try to make me look bad, to make her look bad. Because I was just a bartender, single mom, and she was going to end up pregnant, and and that was a goal of mine to get my kids through high school without them getting pregnant.
Yes.
That's what I was worried about. And
Yes.
now I'm like, Emily, you're 30. Can we have a baby
Right.
sometime?
Hey, I still have till May, so
Yeah.
I'm so close. I mean, we won't have a baby, even if something happened.
Yeah. But Cole's 25,
Yeah.
and he don't need to have a baby either. But I'm
Right.
like, I exceeded my
Yes.
expectations.
Yes.
Had somebody, Emily went to college.
Yes.
Cole's got a great job. They're functioning humans. And
Right.
that's just,
An award, a reward. An award?
yeah, we should get rewards for that.
Yeah, I feel like that's
Yeah.
it. Because
I made essential workers.
oh, not me. I'm non-essential. I'm the first one they shut down. I'm like, yes,
Girl,
thank God.
you are essential because when this grade comes
Right.
through, no ma'am.
Yes, but to the government, they're like, Girl, I
Oh.
sat there for 6 weeks and I loved my unemployment that I got. I was loving it. I've never had paid time off because I'm self-employed.
Yeah.
So I was loving my husband, not so much. He was like, well, I'm an essential employee. Yeah, well, you should have got a
And that's weird that essential employees, I think, should have got some kind of tax back, how everybody got
Yes.
because
yes, because
you
they
know,
had worked. Nothing changed for
special
them.
middle class people, they should, like us, we should have gotten, because my husband worked his butt off the whole time.
Right.
And we were still open too at my work. But,
Oh, well, so you were essential, I guess.
I was semi-essential because our hours did drop a little bit.
Gotcha.
But not because of my doctors, but just, we weren't that busy.
Okay, well, I think that although that we've went off track 9,000 times, if you're anything like us, I think you'll be able to keep up.
I'm ADD. My parents were crackheads. Sorry.
I'm ADHD, and my parents were crackheads. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's what happens.
You never know what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
But we're gonna keep this one short and sweet.
Yes. And we want to know if you have dysfunctional stories like we were talking about a minute ago.
Yes.
We now have a phone number at 615-601-0333. Call us, maybe.
Yeah, or you can email us, and you can email us a voice memo, or you can just,
Yes.
if you don't want your voice on there, you can just write us an email, and we can read it. And if you don't want us to use your name, say that at the beginning, like don't use my name, or call me whatever, Joe Blow or whatever, and we can read it. But we are so interested in hearing your stories because Keela and I met on TikTok. She is the Lost and Found Sisters, and I'm Trailer Park Chronicles. And me and my sister told our story about our childhoods being raised in trailer parks, and Keela told how she met her sisters through.
Yes.
So if you want to check us out on there to learn a little bit more, you totally can. Follow us, whatever. But we have a lot of followers that have similar stories.
Yes. And we want to hear about it.
Yes. We want to hear from y'all because this podcast will not, me and Keela probably can bullshit for 35, 40 minutes a week if y'all want us to, but we really want to hear y'all's stories because...
And we have a lot to tell between all the siblings and sisters
Yes.
and all the trailer park stories. We do have stories. And my sisters work too much to have a set time and schedule, so this is why I'm with my
And my sister don't really
soul
care
sister.
about the
Mhm.
podcast thing. She didn't really. I'm a huge podcaster. I listen to a lot
Yeah.
of. So I forgot to tell you that our email is barbarajeanandwanda@gmail.com, and that's BARBARAJEAN. Is it AND?
And Wanda, A-N-D, W-A-N-D-A.
And Wanda, yeah.
At gmail.com.
We'll
And
post.
we're going to do all the posting.
Yeah, we'll post that in the
places.
description and all that. So you'll have that. But send us emails, and what we really want to hear from y'all.
Yep. And here's the next time, bitches.
Oh, and
Bye.
remember,
Oh.
we can talk shit about our moms, but no one else can.
If you do, we'll cut you.
Right. Have a great week.
Cut.